258,619 votes to defeat Sandy Ono of the People's Democratic Party (PDP), who scored 179,636 votes. The governor-elect Bato II of the APC won 15 local government areas out of the 18 local government areas, while Professor Sandy Ono won the remaining 3 local government areas. In the meantime, the governorship candidate of the People's Democratic Party, Sheriff Ogbowori, has been declared winner of the governorship election in Delta State by the Independent National Electoral Commission. According to the results announced today by the Resident Electoral Commissioner, Monday Udo Tom, Ogbowori won 21 out of the 25 local government areas collated in the state to defeat his closest rival, the All Progressives Congress candidate Ovie Omoagege. Ogbowori polled 360,234 votes. Omoagege polled 240,229, while the All Progressives Grand Alliance candidate Great Ogboru got 11,029 votes. Still on election victories, where the governorship candidate of the People's Democratic Party in Plateau State, Caleb Mutfwang, has been declared the winner of the Saturday election. The Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) made the declaration today. The INEC presiding officer Musa Yusuf, after collating the votes scored by parties in the elections, said Mutfwang had the highest votes, beating the All Progressives candidate Ntanwe Iltada. In another development, the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) has declared the governorship election in Kebbi State as inconclusive. The collation and returning officer of the election, Yusuf Saidu, announced the position at the collation center situated at INEC headquarters in Birin Kebbi. He said there were cancellations in 20 of the 21 local government areas of Kebbi State, cutting across a number of registration areas in different polling units. He noted that they had no option but to refer to the electoral laws on page 31 of the Electoral Act 2022, Section 51, subsections 2 and 3 for guardians. According to him, the law reads that there were the number of votes cast in an election in any polling unit exceeds the number of accredited voters in the polling unit. The presiding officer shall cancel the result of the election in that polling unit.
And 342,980 votes. These votes were pulled by APC, which had 388,258, and PDP, which had 342,908. When we look at the difference is 45,278. And we checked electoral laws on page 31 of the Electoral Act 2022, Section 51, subsection 2 and 3 for guidance. The subsection 2 reads, where the number of votes cast at an election in any polling unit exceeds the number of accredited voters in that polling unit, the presiding officer shall cancel the results of the election in that polling unit. Subsection 3 of that section, that's section 51 reads, where the results of an election is cancelled in accordance with subsection 2, there shall be no return for the election until another poll has taken place in the affected polling unit. By virtue of these provisions and the powers vested in me as the collation and returning officer of 2023 general elections of gubernatorial election in Kebbi State, I, Professor Yusuf Saidu of the Usman Danfodio University, Sokoto, hereby declare the gubernatorial election in Kebbi State inconclusive. Thank you and God bless.
Meanwhile, the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) has announced the candidate of the New Nigeria People's Party (NNPP), Yusuf Kabir, as the winner of the Saturday's governorship election in the state. The declaration was made in the early hours of today amid growing tension in the state. According to the results declared by the returning officer for the Kano State governorship election, Ahmed Ibrahim, the NNPP candidate, polled 1,019,602 votes to defeat his closest rival Nasiru Gawuna of the All Progressives Congress, who polled 890,705 votes.
Yusuf Abba Kabir of NNPP scored 1,019,602 votes. That Yusuf Abba Kabir of NNPP, having satisfied the requirements of the law, is hereby declared the winner and is returned elected. Dated this day, 20th March 2023. Thank you very much.
In the meantime, the Kano state government has imposed a dusk to dawn curfew with a view to avoiding a breakdown of law and order following tensions generated from the collation of results of the governorship and House of Assembly elections in the state. The State Commissioner for Information and Internal Affairs, Mohammed Garba, said this in a statement issued today. According to him, the decision was to prevent hoodlums from causing chaos in the already tensed situation. The commissioner called on people in the state to remain indoors as security agents will not spare anyone or group bent on causing trouble. Elsewhere, the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) has suspended the collation of results in some parts of Abia and Enugu State. INEC, in a statement on its Twitter page, said the commission met today and reviewed the conduct of the governorship and state assembly elections held nationwide on Saturday, the 18th of March 2023. The electoral umpire said the decision to suspend further collation of the governorship election results in some parts of Abia and Enugu State was because reports from the state called for reviews. It therefore appealed to the understanding and patience of voters, parties and candidates in the affected states. In another development, the Independent National Electoral Commission (INEC) has scheduled the governorship and state assembly election in Kwande local government area of Benue State for Tuesday, March 21st. The commission made this known in a statement issued by the National Commissioner and Chairman, Information and Voter Education Committee, Festus Okoye. Reports say the election could not be held in the local government on Saturday following a mix-up of some sensitive materials for the Kwande East and Kwande West State Assembly constituencies. Meanwhile, INEC has uploaded 124,537 election results from the governorship and state houses of assembly elections. According to reports, opposition parties and some Nigerians criticized INEC over its failure to upload results immediately on its result viewing portal during the presidential election. Recall that few days to the March 18 elections, the Commission said that the technical issues had been rectified and gave an assurance that election results will be transmitted immediately. Reports say election results were uploaded in 28 states that include Ogun, Plateau, Zamfara, Yobe, Taraba, Akwa Ibom, Sokoto, Cross River States, among others. Still on electoral matters, the INEC Commission has issued a form to reconcile the governorship election results for some areas in the 4-4 local government area of Adamawa State. Reports say this came after crisis erupted in the local government area where miscreants were seen carting away with some of the election results. The state resident electoral commissioner Hudu Yanusa Ari in an interview said the commission had no preferred candidate, as he said was speculated in some quarters. He assured the public that the winner of the polls would be announced according to the electoral law without sentiment. Meanwhile, Senate President Ahmed Lawan has congratulated Governor Mai Buni of Yobe State on his re-election for a second term of 4 years. The Independent National Electoral Commission on Sunday formally declared Buni the winner of Saturday governorship election in Yobe State. In a statement issued today, Lawan, who hails from Yobe, described the outcome of the poll as a well-deserved victory for Buni and the ruling All Progressives Congress. On home front, Akwa Ibom State Governor Udom Emmanuel has thanked God for always blessing the state with good leaders and expressed gratitude to the people of the state for their good judgment in choosing Pastor Umoeno in the just concluded gubernatorial election, asserting that the election result is the best answer to tantrums and insult of naysayers. The governor, who stated this when he received the governor-elect Pastor Umoeno at the Hilltop Mansion shortly after the declaration of Eno as winner of the March 18 gubernatorial election, described Umoeno as a man with a very large heart and a symbol of the peace that the state stands for, assuring of the successor's magnanimity to accommodate all. He also called on everybody to join hands to move the state forward. Also speaking, the governor-elect Pastor Umoeno appreciated God for the honor bestowed on him. He equally thanked the incumbent Governor Udom Emmanuel for his foresight of seeing what others may not have seen in him, and also appreciated the people of Akwa Ibom State for entrusting his team with their mandate, and particularly the state First Lady Martha Emmanuel for championing the rigorous campaigns that saw to his emergence. He said his victory heralds the advent of a golden era for the people of the state and pledged to consolidate on the achievements of the preceding administrations and to deepen the peace Akwa Ibom has been known for. Government House correspondent Jane Wa reports that the governor-elect therefore urged fellow contestants to sheath their swords and join hands to build the state, promising a government of inclusiveness. Meanwhile, the Akwa Ibom State Collation Officer Emmanuel Adidi had yesterday announced Umoeno of the PDP as the governor-elect of the Saturday, March 18th election. The PDP governorship candidates gathered 354,348 votes to beat his closest competition, Basi Albert of the YPP, who gathered 136,262 votes, and APC Akanu Dofia, who scored 129,602 votes. The party agent Uwem Edimo, on behalf of his principal, noted that the victory of the governorship poll was well-deserving.
Eno Umo Basi, male, PDP, 356,348 votes. That Eno Umo Basi of PDP, having satisfied the requirements of the law, is hereby declared the winner and is returned elected. Signed, returning officer. Thank you very much.
I want to thank God today for the victory of the People's Democratic Party in Akwa Ibom. I said before that PDP is the landlord in Akwa Ibom. We did it on February 25, and we have done it again today. Pastor Umar Basieno is now the governor-elect of Akwa Ibom State. And he will be sworn in May 29, and he will be there till May 2031. I want to thank all Akwa Ibomites. I want to thank the security men. I want to thank His Excellency the Governor of Akwa Ibom State, who has created an enabling environment for peace to reign, for a peaceful election in Akwa Ibom. I want also to thank all other contestants that have shown sportsmanship in this contest. I want to take the result back to my principal and the party, the chairman of the party, for onward transmission to the governor of Akwa Ibom State. You have seen the pattern of the election. The election is completely free and fair. It's done with the latest technology, BVAS technology. Nobody can manipulate, and all the agents have signed. You have seen even the APC agent has signed the result.
In a separate development, the Joint Admissions and Matriculation Board today has announced that it had resumed the 2023 Direct Entry DE registration nationwide. The Registrar of JAMB, Ishaq Oloyede, who made this known at a press briefing in Abuja, said that the Direct Entry registration would come to a close on April 28, 2023, while lamenting the high level of forgery of A-level certificates used for the registration. Oloyede said the board had introduced new guidelines to check such acts. He emphasized that the 127 candidates who had earlier registered for the 2023 direct entry before the exercise was suspended should return to the registration centers for their application update. Still to come in the news. Soybeans futures fall to 3-month low below $14.7 bushel. Do stay with us. Welcome back, and now to the rest of the news. In Africa, China has condemned the killing of Chinese nationals by militants in Central African Republic CAR outside the capital of Bangui. The statement from the Foreign Ministry said that Chinese President Xi Jinping has called for severe punishment for the perpetrators. The mayor of the central Bembari town disclosed to newsmen that 9 bodies were found dead and 2 wounded in the attack. Meanwhile, the Chinese embassy in Bangkok has urged citizens to avoid traveling outside the capital following the killings, raising the alert levels to very high. It said its government would work with embassies and governments to safeguard its citizens in African countries. Still in Africa, Kenya Airways KQ has announced the closure of its booking offices in the western city of Kisumu in South Africa's Johannesburg today due to planned anti-government protests in both countries. In a statement, Kenya Airways said the booking offices would reopen on Tuesday. According to the statement, the move does not affect the operations of other booking offices within the airports of the mentioned cities. In a related developments, Kenya's opposition leader Raila Odinga has said protests will take place every Monday until President William Ruto addresses the high cost of living, which has brought economic hardship to millions of Kenyans. The veteran leader is also pushing for what he calls electoral justice, which is a mixture of his disputed claim that he won the last election and a push to block the reconstitution of the team that runs Kenya's election. He has been leading a convoy of vehicles across different residential areas in the capital, Nairobi. Business activities have been disrupted in the capital and in Kisumu, Odinga's political stronghold. Police have been firing tear gas at protesters and have reportedly made arrests, including some of the opposition politicians. Meanwhile, a seasoned accountant, Cleote Mure, who was probing high-level corruption cases in South Africa, has been shot dead along with his son. According to reports, the 50-year-old was the liquidator for Bosasa, a company implicated in numerous government contract scandals. He also served as a liquidator for firms connected to the wealthy Gupta brothers, who denied bribery accusations. Meanwhile, police will embark on an investigation to ascertain if there is a link between Mure's murder and these corruption investigations. Still in South Africa, where President Cyril Ramaphosa has told citizens that their right to protest does not give anyone the right to harass, intimidate or threaten anyone else. He has also warned against damaging property or harming other people. It comes amid protests organized by the Minority Economic Freedom Fighters EFF party across the country. Dubbed the national shutdown, they are calling for President Cyril Ramaphosa to resign, accusing him of corruption and mismanaging an energy crisis. Meanwhile, South African police have so far arrested 87 people in connection with the protest. The state has also deployed more than 3,000 soldiers to help guard key infrastructure.
And I want to say very clearly, disorder and anarchy will not be allowed in South Africa. We will not allow those who want to spread anarchy to do what they like here in South Africa. We are a constitutional democracy. Yesterday we had a meeting of our National Security Council and we discussed this. And the security forces of our country are going to defend our people. They are going to make sure that intimidation, anarchy and disorder does not prevail. But those who want to protest, by all means, you protest peacefully. But if you are going to restrict the rights of other people, if you are going to coerce them, if you are going to intimidate them and unleash violence, our security forces are going to defend the people of South Africa.
Elsewhere, a French journalist and an American aid worker have both been released after years being held hostage by Islamist militants in West Africa. Olivia Duby was kidnapped almost 2 years ago while reporting in Mali near the northern city of Gao. Duby was held by a jihadist group linked to Al-Qaeda in the Islamic Maghreb. The aid worker Jeffrey Woodke was kidnapped in Niger more than 6 years ago. It is not clear what led to their release, but both men are now in Niamey. On the foreign scene, strong earthquakes have reportedly hit southern Ecuador and northern Peru, killing at least 15 people and trapping others under rubble. The Ecuadorian president, Guillermo Lasso, said the earthquake generated alarm in the population and called for calmness among the people. In a statement, the president's office noted that 12 of the victims died in the coastal state of El Oro, Ecuador, and 2 in the highland state of Azuay. Meanwhile, authorities reported that at least 126 people were injured. The Peruvian Prime Minister Alberto Otaola said a 4-year-old girl had died from head trauma as a result of the collapse of her home in the Tumbes region, which shares border with Ecuador. Still on the foreign scene, President Gustavo Petro has suspended a ceasefire with Colombia's biggest drug trafficking group, accusing it of attacking civilians. Petro, on his Twitter page, said he has ordered security forces to resume all military operations against the Gulf clan. Meanwhile, Colombia government says the clan is behind harassment and attacks on people in Northwest over the past 2 weeks. Meanwhile, the European Commission today said it will support Turkey with €1 billion to help with reconstruction in the aftermath of the earthquake that devastated parts of the country and neighboring Syria last month. The president of the EU's executive arm, Ursula von der Leyen, also pledged €108 million in humanitarian aid for Syria at the opening of a donors conference in Brussels, gathering the bloc's international partners to raise money for both countries. According to the country's president, the magnitude 7.8 earthquake on February 6 killed more than 52,000 people, the vast majority in Turkey. Nearly 300,000 buildings in Turkey either collapsed or were severely damaged. Meanwhile, the International Rescue Committee, an aid group responding to humanitarian crisis, said the situation in the region remains critical and urged donors to ensure that the United Nations appeal for Turkey and Syria, calling for $1 billion and $397 million respectively, is fully funded.
I am pleased to announce that the European Commission alone will support Turkey with €1 billion for the post-earthquake reconstruction. We also pledge a further package of €108 million for humanitarian assistance and early recovery in Syria. On top of this, our member states and the European financial institutions will make additional pledges. Millions are now homeless and living in tents as the winter drags on. We need to sustain our support and help the survivors, not just to survive, but to rebuild their lives. Ladies and gentlemen, we need to mobilize for reconstruction. Homes and schools and hospitals must be rebuilt with the highest standards of seismic safety. Water and sanitation and other critical infrastructure must be repaired. Public services and businesses need capital to restart.
In another development, America readied itself today ahead of the possible historic indictment of Donald Trump over a hush money case, with the former president calling for mass demonstrations if he is charged. Trump supporters were scheduled to protest in New York as Manhattan District Attorney Alvin Bragg weighs charges the ex-president over a payment to porn actress Stormy Daniels in 2016. Meanwhile, Trump would become the first former sitting president to ever be charged with a crime if an indictment is filed, a move that would send shockwaves through the 2024 White House race in which Trump is running to regain office. Bragg, an elected Democrat, has not confirmed any plans to indict, but has indicated that prosecutors are nearing a decision by putting key witnesses in front of a grand jury in recent weeks and offering Trump the opportunity to testify. Moving over to Russia, top investigative body said it had opened a criminal case against the International Criminal Court prosecutor and judges who issued an arrest warrant for President Vladimir Putin on war crimes charges. The move was a symbolic gesture of defiance 3 days after the ICC accused Putin and his children's commissioner Maria Lovera-Belova of the war crime of deporting children from Ukraine, to Russia. The State Investigative Committee said there were no grounds for criminal liability on Putin's part, and heads of state enjoined absolute immunity under a 1973 UN convention. The ICC prosecutor's actions showed signs of being crimes under Russian law, the committee said, including knowingly accusing an innocent person of a crime. In the meantime, Ukraine has said that the former head of the SBU security service in northeastern Kharkiv will go on trial on high treason charges for allegedly sabotaging the region's defense against Russia. The State Bureau of Investigation said on Telegram that the former official faces life imprisonment. Reports say most of the northeastern region of Kharkiv, which borders Russia, was occupied by Moscow troops from the start of the Russian invasion in February last year until September. According to the State Bureau of Investigations, Dudin believed the offensive would be successful and hoped new Russian authorities would treat him favorably due to his subversive activities. He is accused of leaving his post without permission while under martial law and illegally ordering his staff to leave work and quit the region. In addition, he is accused of deliberately creating conditions enabling Russian troops to seize weapons and protective equipment from the security services headquarters. Meanwhile, France top administrative court today ordered the government to ban fishing in parts of the Atlantic to protect dolphins which have washed up dead in their hundreds. The move by the State Council, the highest court in government matters, comes days after an oceanographic institute reported that at least 910 dolphins had washed up on France's Atlantic coast since the start of the winter. According to the Pelgaz Oceanographic Observatory based in the western city of La Rochelle, over a single week, more than 400 of the marine mammals were found stranded along the coast, an unprecedented number. Meanwhile, several environmental NGOs, including Sea Shepherd, had filed a legal complaint against the government over the dolphin and porpoise deaths. They said it was not doing enough to protect the species, which are in danger of disappearing from parts of the Bay of Biscay along the Atlantic coast. And now it's time for the latest business and stock market stories. Here is Blyden Ukem.
Thank you and good evening. It is Business News. My name is Blyden Okem. In the news, soybeans futures fall to 3-month low. The United States, Brazil, Argentina and Paraguay are the biggest producers and exporters of soybeans in the world, concentrating more than 80% of total production and 90% of total exports. China is the biggest importer of soybeans, 60% of total imports, followed by the European Union, Mexico, Japan, and Taiwan. Soybeans futures extended losses to below $14.70 per bushel, the lowest in 3 months, as worries about a widespread financial crisis weighed on demand prospects and investors welcome the renewal of the deal allowing Black Sea exports of Ukrainian grains. Meanwhile, concerns remain over the supplies from Argentina, the world's top exporter of the commodity. Buenos Aires Grains Exchange slashed its 2022-2023 soybean production forecast to 25 million tons from the 29 million tons previously estimated, as the crop continues to be battered by a prolonged drought. On the other hand, Brazil's soybean production is estimated to reach a historical 153 million metric tons in 2022-2023, 18% above last season's drought-affected crop. In Nigeria, fast-moving consumer goods Unilever Nigeria has said that it will be exiting the home care and skin cleansing market to reposition its business for sustained profitability. This was revealed in a corporate notice to the Nigerian Exchange Limited and signed by its company secretary, Abidemi Ademola. The company said that it was changing its business model to accelerate the growth of the company and meet the needs of consumers, shareholders, and employees better. The Nigerian Exchange Limited has sanctioned 16 companies for various market infractions in 3 years, according to reports. Specifically, the NGX imposed the sum of 779.5 million fine on Lasaco Assurance PLC, Presco PLC, Adova PLC, C&I Leasing PLC, and 12 other listed companies on the bourse between 2020 and 2022. The sanctions bordered on the failure of the companies to comply with some post-listing requirements of the exchange, especially the prompt filing of results and accounts. 14 of the companies were sanctioned 170.6 million naira in 2022, while the NGX imposed 586 million naira monetary sanctions on 7 of them in 2021. In 2022, 3 of the firms were sanctioned 22.9 million naira. It's time for the Nigerian stock market report. Today is the first trading day of the week and the bulls return. A total of 1.171 billion shares in 3,066 deals, corresponding to a market value of 2.876 billion naira, were traded. The benchmark all-share index sparred 26.91 basis points to close at 54,888.48 points. When compared with the previous trading day of Friday, March 17, today's data shows 646% improvement in volume, 84% improvement in turnover, and 4% improvement in deals. The current market capitalization of the Nigerian Stock Exchange is 29.9 trillion naira. In aggregate, 108 listed equities participated in trading, ending with 19 gainers and 15 losers. Access Holdings led the gainers with 7.14% share price appreciation, closing at 9 naira per share. On the losing side, Ikeja Hotel came out last with an end-of-day price appreciation of 9.52% at 1 naira 14 kobo per share. Namath International Pharma recorded the highest volume of 1.07 traded shares. This is all on Business News. Thank you for watching.
Thank you, Blyden. Still to come in the news. Carlos Alcaraz beats Nadil Medvedev in final to return world #1. To stay with us. Thanks for staying tuned, and now to conclude the news. In health, nutritionist and dietitian Olushola Malomo has warned Nigerians against high consumption of eggs, noting that it may increase the risk of brain cancer and hypertension. The expert explained that eggs are the main source of dietary cholesterol, advising that they must be consumed moderately. According to him, 1 egg per day is recommended for children from 6 months to 5 years, stressing that people who are older and overweight should not eat more than 3 eggs in a week. He added that our concern about excessive intake of eggs in Africa and indeed Nigeria is the elevation of cholesterol, particularly the unhealthy one, which if uncontrolled can predispose one to some forms of cardiovascular diseases. Still in health, public medical experts have cautioned Nigerians experiencing excessive sweating against ignoring it, noting that they should seek the help from health experts and the causes. The experts explained that excessive sweating may be linked to a medical condition known as hyperhidrosis and diaphoresis, noting that it could be a pointer to ailments like diabetes, thyroid issue, infections and nervous system disorders. According to a professor of public health, Jacob Adegoke, and another public health expert, Dr. Olaposi Olatorego, it is important for those experiencing frequent excessive sweating to see a doctor. Dr. Olatorego, however, explained that the secondary hyperhidrosis could be caused by medication, hormonal medications, and antidepressants. Let's head over now to Isaac for the latest sports stories.
In sports, Carlos Alcaraz defeated Dani Medvedev to win the Indian Wells title and return to world number 1. Spaniard Alcaraz, who is 19, needed only 1 hour and 11 minutes to seal a 6-3, 6-2 win that took him above Novak Djokovic at the top of the ATP rankings. It is the US Open champion's 3rd career Masters 1000 title. Djokovic, by the way, was forced to withdraw from the tournament in California because he was unable to enter the USA because he is not vaccinated against COVID-19. He will also miss this week's Miami Open, while Alcaraz is the defending champion. Alcaraz broke Russian Dani Medvedev early in the opening set to open a 3-love lead and never looked like relinquishing his grip on the match. We're talking about basketball. LeBron James' regular season is not over, according to Los Angeles Lakers head coach Darvin Ham. James has been absent since suffering a tendon injury in his foot during a February 26 victory over the Dallas Mavericks, with the franchise initially saying he will be re-evaluated in 3 weeks. 3 weeks have now passed, and while there was no concrete update in his timetable, Ham made it clear that there is no thought of shutting down the rest of James's regular season. The reality is that the Lakers do not have the luxury of holding James out for the playoffs, as they currently sit barely inside the Western Conference playing tournament places. Well, finally, let's talk about football and from the country. Finidi George and Ekesho Romo have been reportedly being told by the NFF not to return to the Super Eagles camp ahead of the doubleheader against Guinea-Bissau. Players have been arriving at the camp in Abuja in recent days, with the likes of Francis Uzoho, Alex Iwobi, and Ademola Lookman already preparing while the coaching team awaits the rest of the team. George has been an assistant to head coach Jose Pesero since he took over from Augustine Guavon, while Shoromo has been working as a goalkeeping coach. Interestingly, he is also the gaffer of the MPFL side, Eyimba. 55-year-old Shoromo featured in 36 games for the Super Eagles between the years 1992 to 2002. Abiodun Barawa has reportedly been called up to the Super Eagles camp to replace the former Nigerian goalkeeper. Well, that's it on sports. My name is Isaac.
Thank you, Isaac. On our entertainment news, famous Nigerian singer Folarin Falana, popularly known as Falz the Bad Guy, has reacted to the Lagos State re-elected governor Babajide Sanwo-Olu's appreciation post. Governor Sanwo-Olu had today, in a post shared on his official Twitter handle, appreciated Lagosians for believing in him. Reacting to this, Falz, who quoted the tweet, said everyone had seen the electoral irregularities unfold and Sanwo-Olu was only deceiving himself. Still on entertainment's global streaming service Prime Video has announced that its first African original movie, Gangs of Lagos, will be launched on April 7 in Nigeria, Sub-Saharan Africa and worldwide exclusively on Prime Video. According to the filmmaker Jade Osiberu, Gangs of Lagos is one of the most highly anticipated films to come out of the world's second largest film industry, Nollywood, this year. Prime Video also revealed the key art with a teaser trailer and character posters, and it is said to star Toby Bakare, Adeswai Tommy Wellington, Chike Osebuka, among others. Lastly tonight, the Big Brother Titans eviction has seen 3 housemates leave the house. Blue Ivy, Nana and Miracle were evicted during the live show. They had the fewest votes among the BB Titans housemates nominated for eviction. Recall that Big Brother dissolved all pairs, which means the competition is back to being a solo game. Housemates are officially competing on their own. And that's all we have for you tonight. Do well to follow us on social media. Subscribe to our YouTube channel, all of which you can find on our website, spectrumtv.ng. You have been watching Spectrum TV News at 9. I am Uyai Anyeken. Thanks for watching, and I do hope you have a splendid night rest. Good night.